Okay, so we are underway, recording and everything. So welcome to this week's edition of the Parlor Car Chats. That screen that you're looking at reminds us that these Parlor Car Chats are a program of the San Luis Obispo Railroad Museum. And I typically have had a different front screen or front slide of the general San Luis Obispo website, but I put this one up today because it's the page that was recently created for year-end gift giving. So if you're looking for a place to donate to a good cause before the end of the year, this could be it for you. And the museum has identified 3 different things there that are on the kind of on the left-hand side there that they would strongly suggest, I guess would be the way to put it, for year-end gift giving. The general operating fund, just for the operation of the museum, the painting of rolling stock, some of the big outdoor full-size equipment, and then also scenery development for the model railroad in the museum. So if any of those topics scoot your tutor, it'd be great to donate to it. Okay, let's see, where am I? Oh, another thing to mention, in case you have some interest in this or you want to pass it on to someone, the book that Glenn did is now posted on the website in Spanish. It had been there, of course, in English, but now there's a copy of the book in PDF form in Spanish. And there's also someone reading it in a recording out loud in Spanish as well. So if you have someone who knows someone who might benefit from that, you might let them know. Okay, so off we go on today's topic, which is the Fillmore and Western Railway. And most of this chat is based on a trip that the Friends of the Santa Maria Valley Railroad did back in 2014, and links to, again, links to all the talking about, generally speaking, will be on the Parlor Car Chat webpage after we're all done, and I've posted the recording and all that sort of thing. In the meantime, if you want to get my attention today for questions and answers as we're going here, since you can't get in by audio, by microphone, use the chat system. If you over your screen, you can find a bubble or the word chat or something. Go to the chat box and just ask your question or type whatever there. So here's a picture of what the station area and yard looked like back in 2014, with some of their equipment sitting on the tracks. Here's a map to kind of give you an idea of placement where we are here. Ventura, California, of course, is in the lower left-hand corner along Highway 101. The highway that runs from Ventura to Santa Paula to Fillmore is Highway 126, and it goes on past Fillmore to Piru, which is about another 5 miles or so, and then Santa Clara, Magic Mountain, where it joins into the 5, I think it is, about another 5 miles after that or something along those lines. And there's a number of things going on in the area. There's a Santa Clara River Valley Railroad. There's a Railroad Historical Society. There's a regular historical society. Of course, there's the other attractions like Magic Mountain and so on going on. Santa Paula is its own interesting town, as is Fillmore. So a lot of stuff going on. This distance between Fillmore and Santa Paula, which is the excursion run that I'm going to be talking about most of today, and I think is still today the basic excursion trip, is about 10 miles one way. So 10 miles down to Santa Paula, and then the return trip of 10 miles back to Fillmore. And it pretty much parallels the highway and the river. This is the Santa Clara River Valley, and as most of you know, railroads will typically follow rivers or streams and that sort of thing because it generally makes the grading easier. So do highway construction people generally follow that. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that the both the highway and the railroad go along the river valley, along the river. At the beginning, here's a few shots of the equipment that we saw just sitting around at Fillmore the day we were there, and they do have a fair amount of equipment. Let me give you a little history. The railroad was founded or created in 1967. And by the way, I'll put a link. There's a full history of the railroad on the railroad's website that you can go see, because I'm only going to touch on some things. A lot of what they did originally was movie work. They had some record years for the number of films that they had trains involved with. And a lot of equipment for trains to match eras and that sort of thing. A lot of it, not all of it, happened here in Fillmore. The railroad moved, the Fillmore and Western / also called Short Line Enterprises. If you see the word short line sort of capitalized as if it was a company, that's basically the same thing. I'm not sure exactly who owned what or whatever, but it's another name that pops up. Anyway, they moved to Jamestown to the Sierra Railroad in 1976, so only less than a decade after they started. They needed more space, more operating room, etc. So they moved up there and ran there, did their thing with all these movies and everything until 1996, which is when they moved to Ventura County, where they are now, operating on the old Southern Pacific's Santa Paula branch, and continued to do movie work, running excursions, and all that sort of thing. And apparently now they have steam operating for excursions, at least on occasion. Because I saw some video of number 14, the one we're looking at here, running. But when I looked at the website, it doesn't look like the steamer running for December anyway. It says to be announced. Someone has a note on here that can you increase your volume? I don't know that I can. Maybe you can increase your own volume on yours. Is anybody else? If anybody else is having that same issue, let me know. Okay, so moving on here. Steam train rides are their website says are TBA, to be announced. Here's some more of the equipment that was sitting there in the yard. This F unit from 1949, and quite a consist of cars available too. Also, I think we have already saw a picture of that. We might see another one as we go. So here's some more of the equipment that's there. They've got quite a bit of it. This, by the way, Fillmore is about 2.5 hours drive time from San Luis Obispo. So it's, so sort of, we were talking about length of drives earlier before we got this program started. That's sort of getting to the outside of an easy day's trip for us, but well worth it. I would do it. I would do it again easily. They're doing holiday trains now through December. What they call the weekend special tour, something like that, which is 4 hours long. Will come back, as will the murder mysteries. They say will be returning in 2021 as well. There's a Jeep 35, I think, from their yard there. There's a couple of the passenger type coaches on either side of that locomotive. And an SP caboose. Mateo and I, my grandson and I, got down there pretty early. Like, I think we were there hour and a half before our trip was to occur. So we spent quite amount of time wandering around, looking at all the things that were on display or close to on display from behind fences in their yard. There's another such view, more equipment, an SP locomotive there, and I'm not sure, is that a Santa Fe caboose? Not sure. Well, that one certainly is. They do have a turntable there. I don't know if it's still operating or not, but I don't know why it wouldn't be. It's been a going concern. Little switcher locomotive. They have detail on their website, by the way, for some of this equipment. A few of the locomotives anyway, if you're really curious about each individual one. Here's a shot from one end. The building there is the station, the Fillmore and Western Railway station, where the gift shop is and where you get your tickets and all that sort of thing. On the left are the live tracks where you would board for your excursion rides and so on. To the right, where that boxcar is sitting, is more of a display track. I imagine it's live. It's probably hooked into the track system, but it's generally just for display. And oh no, I guess it's not hooked in. That is pretty isolated section of track. Anyway, there's Mateo running ahead of me, as he usually does when we're at train sort of things. Got to see what's around the next corner, and that is the train we're going to be taking on the left, and we'll see a little bit more of that particular locomotive later on. Oh, there's that F unit that I described. They have quite a set of cars for, and you can see them better in this picture. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at least. 6 cars. That's a pretty train. And here's another set of equipment that's on display along the walkway there. Along with the train rides and everything, inside that station, along with the gift shop and ticket area, there's a small museum, and this is where we are in this picture, of various artifacts from the eras of this railroad. There's a bit of an office recreation. I love these sorts of things. There's another. I remember the Goleta Depot too has an office that's kind of set up. It's always, I like to see that sort of thing. There's another little car in their museum. Oh, somebody made a note that the turntable that we saw earlier is owned by the Historical Society and is still being used. And then there's another note that says that's the dinner train, and I assume that is referring to the F unit that we were looking at a few slides ago. Thank you all for chiming in on little bits and pieces that you know. There's Mateo on the left playing with a train he had gotten in the gift shop, and then on the right is our locomotive for that day, number 1059. I think we have a couple shots of that. There's Mateo standing in front of it, and I forget how many coaches we had behind it, a couple at least, and maybe an open air car too. There's our engineer for the day. And there's the small group of us. Diane will recognize herself in that picture. in one of the coaches and just about ready to head out. And there's yours truly with grandson Mateo. They're very nice cars. Mateo was having the time of his life. And it's a little bit surprising that he was that talkative that day, because he's usually shyer than that. But I think generally anytime around trains, he gets pretty talkative. There's some of the countryside cruising down the Santa Clara River Valley. In this case, on the way to Santa Paula. And it's also citrus area, as you can see by the orange trees there in the field that are going by. Lots and lots of orange in that valley. Citrus, I imagine, generally in that valley. I always get a kick out of people waiting for us to cross. It makes you feel very powerful. And now we have there is an open air car there in the middle of the coaches. We've arrived in Santa Paula. In the sort of distance there, that maroon red building is the Santa Paula station. And most of Santa Paula is to our right, at least the commercial area, commercial areas. There's a shot from the other side of the station being very far left, way over here on the other side of this gazebo. And then the train, looks like there's two coaches, then the open air, then another coach. And the locomotive is way up front, behind the station / rotunda thing, whatever that is there. And here's a picture of the front of the station, Santa Paula Station, which is also home of the Chamber of Commerce, or at least it was back in 2014. Probably all part of the renovation processes. Get them in there too. The Santa Paula town is an interesting little California town and has a lot of the stuff that you would imagine in a small, older California town. And I love that stuff, the architecture and so on. And they had some murals around town as well. Not to mention this huge fig tree, which should be reminiscent to most of you of the huge fig tree that's at the Santa Barbara train station. But anyway, nice mural. And we'll see more of that. Here's a meeting room of some sort. That might have been this might be in the station, actually, as I recall. Some statues here and there. And here's some of the architecture. This is reminiscent to me of a building in Paso Robles that has this sort of corner tower extension to the corner of the building. There must be something significant about that because I've seen 2 or 3 of them. It's very interesting. Of course, while we were in Santa Paula, there were a number of shops open, several of which are kind of antique, vintage type stores. And they've always intrigued me, and as it turns out, they intrigued Mateo as well. Here's another mural showing Santa Paula from days gone by. There's the bank and old, what was that thing, 1905 building. There's an entrance to an inn or hotel. Also reminiscent of Santa Barbara style stuff. I guess that shouldn't surprise anybody. There's another great mural across a building. I don't remember now what was in that building, but that's an intense mural. That's pretty cool. I think I have a close-up, close-up picture of that from the center. It's pretty cool. One of the lodging accommodation type buildings in Santa Paula. And we're back on the train now, obviously, and if you wanted to catch a view of what that open air car looked like, there it is. And I know they have a number of these. I saw a video of the Steam, that number 14, running an excursion, and there was probably at least 3 of these open air cars with covers on them behind that steam locomotive. Not directly behind. There was a couple of enclosed coaches in between, but so they can build up quite a train when they need to. Oh, let's see here. There's the statues that we saw before of the motorcycle cops commemorates the men who warned the town when the San Francisco dam broke. And he's guessing that was in 1926 or thereabouts. Well, that's interesting. Thank you for that. And here's Mateo standing in front of the locomotive while we're still in Santa Paula, getting ready to head back to Fillmore, no doubt. Isn't it every kid's dream to hang off of a car sort of like that? Oh, this is at least on the return to Fillmore. Not too far out of Santa Paula is this Loose Caboose Garden Center, they call it, and it's kind of a crack-up store or center, or whatever you want to call it. And it has some very odd, interesting things throughout, including these upside-down trees. What can you say? Doesn't everybody want to have one of these in their front yard? Anyway, the train stopped for us to get out and explore this garden center. I imagine they have some sort of relationship with them to make, bring customers and be available and all that good working off each other kind of stuff. But there is a lot of interesting stuff in there that Mateo, particularly me too, but even Mateo got excited about, like the wildlife. They had turtles in ponds. There is one of them. They had all kinds of fish and koi and I don't know what all they were in numerous ponds with bridges over them and that sort of thing. Lots of lily pads. It's quite a little adventure in this store. There's a kind of a petting zoo, or so I guess it's more like a feeding zoo. There's even better picture of those upside down trees. You just have to kind of chuckle. What can you say? There's a lily pad in bloom. There's a little bit more of the store part of this. All that we've been seeing up till now is all out and about outside of this building. So you can get a kind of a feel for the nature of what's there. There's some really big fish that Mateo was getting a kick out of feeding, and apparently the fish were into it too. More of the outdoor area. A lot of it. It's pretty big. Pretty big area. Okay, so now we're back at Fillmore. There's that F unit staring at us, and the train we just took is on the left. And another picture of the yard there after the trip. And since this is December, this is a different trip, obviously. The family went down to Fillmore and Western in Christmas time 2010, so this is even more years ago by 4 years earlier. And just to give you an idea of what the thing looks like at Christmas time, and I presume it looks similar these days, although with COVID and who knows what's happened in the 10 years in between, I don't know, but here's a couple of slides of a Christmas Polar Express trip that we took back in 2010. In the center there is the station itself, as we've seen before, undecorated. And now we've switched around a little bit. The trains are on the left, and the station is probably back behind us, walking down along these other spots. The kids had a great time. There's all kinds of photo opportunities. The people were bringing hats for them to put on for photo ops and that sort of thing. And of course Santa. How can you have a Polar Express and not have Santa, right? I don't think that shot was taken in the train. I think that shot was taken in the station afterwards, but I'm not 100% sure of that. It's a bit like when Santa arrives in San Luis Obispo, which reminded me when I was thinking about this, and here's a picture. Today, this very day, at this very moment, roughly, well, a few hours from now, Santa would be arriving at the San Luis Obispo Railroad Museum for his grand arrival, and then ride down to the museum and hold court, if you will, in the car La Cuesta. All that could come to mind was La Condesa, which is the old name, of course. So here is a tribute to better years when Santa, in fact, can come to the San Luis Museum in December, and hopefully by next December, for heaven's sakes, we better be back to some semblance of normal. So that is it for our little Fillmore and Western trip today. Here's our typical last slide to remind you that you can donate to the museum. In the upper left-hand corner is an address. You can just go to the website and find it pretty easily. In the upper right-hand side, there's the address for the Parlor Car Chats page, which lists all the upcoming ones, has links to all the past ones and their videos and so on. There's a feedback survey available from that page, or there's a link if you want to go directly, to let us know what you like, what topics you suggest, that sort of thing. We've been doing this now. I think this is the 20th Parlor Car Chat, and sort of running out of steam, and quote unquote, in terms of topics. So if anybody out there is interested in doing this presentation like this for a chat, let me know. We can give you all the technical support you need. All you need to do is have the story to tell and some pictures or something to go with it that we can see. And then, speaking of that, what are we going to talk about and what are we going to see on the next Parlor Car Chat? That would be December 19th, 2 weeks from today at the standard 10 a.m. Local time, well, Pacific time. Gary's going to talk about his experience riding the skunk train rail bikes. Well, that should be very interesting. I had no idea that they were doing anything quite that sophisticated. So I can't wait to hear Gary talk about that experience and explain more about the bikes and so on and so forth. So let me go back here and see if there's any questions. When I see someone has suggested a presenter to check, okay, I will contact Brent. Thank you for that, whoever sent that message. Oh, hey, Rob, I think you should be live.
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead.
Hey, I just want to say a few things about the Fillmore and Western Railroad.
Go ahead.
They were shut down late March. Movie trains and excursion obviously shut down. So we got busy. San Maria Valley Railroad got busy and needed track work. So they brought the track crews up. Really saved them because they've worked basically from March all the way to last month. Now they're back in business with the excursions.
Hey, Rob.
And so we were talking about next year, and we came to an agreement that the Fillmore and Western's going to run our excursions next year. So we will be back in dinner train operations. The Fillmore and Western's going to run it on the Santa Maria Valley Railroad.
Wow.
And hopefully, when all this stuff goes away, they plan to run the Polar Express for Christmas next year.
Fantastic.
That's kind of our joint venture. I just wanted to announce to everybody that's in the works.
Well, that's fantastic. So, Rob, what equipment are they going to use on SMV?
So Nathan has a car here that he's rebuilding for excursion operations, and they're going to bring a couple of cars up.
Wow.
Hopefully by the summertime. And as you know, Jamie, we've done these things before, but it's a lot of work. But this is just great. All we have to do is provide the train crew.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All that ancillary stuff is a lot of work.
And that's in their ballpark, so. They'll bring the crews, the onboard crews and everything up. So it'd be turnkey for us.
So I guess we should watch the website, Friends, or the railroad, or both.
Or both. Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully, one of the first ones is going to be exclusively for Friends. So that's kind of what we like to do first.
All right.
Well, there's a good excuse for everybody to join Friends if you haven't already done it.
We can always join them, but
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for that. Any other questions or comments or additions? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today, and don't forget, in 2 weeks, Skunk Train Rail Bikes. Gary C. will be our presenter for that. So, have a great day.
thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.